13,000 tons, 22 stories tall, a bucket big enough to swallow 2 Greyhound buses whole. Big Muskie was the largest dragline ever built. It changed mining forever, then went silent and never moved again. This record-setting machine, officially named the Bucyrus Erie 4250 walking dragline, was built to tackle an immense energy crisis. In the late 1960s, American Electric Power and its subsidiary, the Central Ohio Coal Company, needed to feed the nearby Beverly Power Plant to keep up with soaring electricity demands. But the coal they needed was buried deep beneath the rugged, hilly terrain of southeastern Ohio. A massive layer of heavy rock and soil, called overburden, locked the coal away. Standard mining trucks and shovels could not move this much earth fast enough to make the operation profitable. To crack this geological barrier, engineers needed a brand new business solution: a giant stripping machine capable of clearing entire hillsides in a single step. In 1966, engineering firm Bucyrus Erie accepted the challenge, designing a massive, one-of-a-kind machine called the 4250W. Machinists in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, spent 2 years forging the heavy steel gears and structural plates. But getting these pieces to the Ohio coal fields required a massive logistical effort. A convoy of 340 rail cars and 260 trucks carried the disassembled components across the Midwest. At the mine, crews spent 200,000 man-hours putting the giant puzzle together on a reinforced wooden runway. By May 22, 1969, construction was complete. At the dedication ceremony, the local high school marching band stood inside the giant bucket and played right before the massive machine took its historic first swing. To grasp the sheer physical scale of the Bucyrus Erie 4250W, you have to look at the staggering numbers that defined its existence. The twin steel boom stretched 310 feet into the air, reaching further than an entire football field. From the ground up, the machine stood about 22 stories tall and spanned 151 feet wide, roughly the width of an 8-lane highway. The entire structure weighed a colossal 13,500 short tons, about 27 million pounds of concentrated metal. At the working end hung a 220 cubic yard bucket that weighed 230 tons completely empty and could swallow 2 full-size transit buses side by side. But the most surprising engineering choice was under the hood. There was no diesel engine on board. Instead, this Titan ran entirely on electricity, connected to the power grid by a massive 13,800-volt, 3-phase utility line. This immense voltage fed a fleet of 28 direct current electric motors. These series-wound DC motors delivered up to 52,500 horsepower, providing the precise, high-torque control needed to swing and hoist the heavy loads. It remains the largest single-bucket dragline ever constructed. Put this massive electrical power into action, and the giant machine operated with surprising simplicity. Think of it as a colossal spoon on a giant arm. First, the operator high up in the cab released the hoist cables, dropping the empty steel bucket to the ground. Then, powerful winches pulled the 5-inch thick drag cables, dragging the bucket forward to scoop up heavy rock and dirt. Once filled with up to 325 tons of earth, the hoist cables lifted the bucket, and the massive swing motors rotated the entire boom to dump the heavy load onto a spoil pile. This continuous cycle cleared the thick layer of waste rock so smaller equipment could easily reach the buried coal seam. Working 24 hours a day across 3 8-hour shifts, a small crew of just 6 people kept the machine running. When the area was cleared, the machine walked to its next spot. Instead of tracks, it used 4 giant hydraulic feet to take slow 12-foot steps at just 1/10 of a mile per hour. At peak performance, this massive machine moved a staggering 8,000 cubic yards of earth every single hour. By the early 1990s, the financial reality of coal mining in Ohio had shifted, and running the giant machine was no longer economical. Its massive electrical appetite became an unsustainable burden as power costs soared. At the same time, demand for high-sulfur Ohio coal plummeted under strict new clean air regulations, forcing power plants to look elsewhere. Decades of lifting heavy rock had also worn down critical components, leaving the massive hoist cables and gears in need of expensive replacements. Rather than a single breakdown, it was a wave of shifting energy markets, regulatory pressure, and aging parts that sealed its fate. On December 13, 1991, operators switched off the power grid connection for the last time, bringing Big Muskie's working life to a permanent end. Today, only the bucket remains. This incredible relic reminds us of an era when industrial ambition had no limits. Would you visit this giant? Let us know below.